Hello and welcome to the channel. In a previous video we took a look at how to create this shop archive with the hover effect, the quick view, the percentage discount value, the sales, and the out of stock, plus this filter. So today we're going to be taking a look at how to create the single product page, the single product template. But before we do that, there are a couple of things we left out in our previous tutorial. We did not have the recently viewed product here, and we also did not link this image and the title to the product. So we're going to briefly take a look at how to do that, clean up this page, and then we move on to the single product template. Another thing we're going to take a look at is how to make this appear as colors instead of checkboxes. So we're going to do that to make this appear as colors instead of checkboxes. Okay, to do that, let's go to the back end. So we're going to take a look at the plugin we're using for the filter, which is product, this filter plugin. Okay, so we're going to quickly edit it and then go to the color section and then choose this color icons, display as colors, and then we're going to choose the color. So the blue, we're going to choose the color for the blue. For the red, we're going to choose the color for the red. And then for the yellow, we're going to choose a color for the yellow. And then when we save that, and then take a look at the front end, let's refresh this. See, it's going to show up as colors. So that's for the color. Then we are in Oxygen right now, so we're going to take a look at how to add the link, how to link this image and the title to the product page. So we are selecting that image. We're going to hit on this link settings, okay, to wrap that in a link wrapper. So we're going to close this so you can see that that image is being wrapped around by a link wrapper. So we're going to go to the URL and select dynamic data and then choose permalink. So that automatically links the image to the product page, and we're going to do the same here. We're going to click here and then close this so you can see that the product title has been wrapped by a link wrapper, and then we're going to go to data and then choose permalink. That's all for that. And then for the recently viewed product, we're going to take a look at, let's see, where are we here? Okay, shop content. We want to put that relatively viewed product inside this grid. Let's see, will that work? Okay, so we're going to drop it under this. Okay, let's try dropping it here. Okay, so I'm going to go to add Woocommerce, and then you should have recently viewed. Okay, so recently viewed product is not his related product, so we're going to go to WordPress widget, and then we're going to see the recently viewed product. So you see recent viewed product, and we're going to select that. Okay, and then we want to show 5 products. Okay, and then apply. So I think we're going to move it inside this. Okay, let's move it inside there and bring it under the repeater. Okay, all right, so I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to take a look at it on the front end. All right, so there it is. So I'm going to just okay, the next thing we're going to do is to give it a class of recently viewed archive. So I already have that class because I've already done this on this install. So that class, recently viewed archive. And then we're going to go to our style sheet and paste in the CSS that I wrote for it. Just before we have the media query, I'm going to paste that CSS here, and you can see the difference. If I undo, okay, and paste it, you can see the difference. So it's very important that you give it that class of recently viewed archive, because that is what we're using to target this. Okay, I'm going to save that. Let me hit save, and then I'm going to view it on the front end to see how it looks. Alright, so this is what we have here. One more thing we're going to do is just to tidy up this place. So we're going to take this section, and then we're going to go to advanced size and spacing. I'm going to remove this this value here, this responsive value. I want it to be in pixels, so I'm just going to take off that value, and then I'm going to write like 20 pixel. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to take off this value, and then I'm going to change it to pixels. Okay, and then for this one, for this grid, it's a section. I'm going to do the same thing. So I want this to move a little bit closer. So I'm going to write maybe 50 pixels. All right. Okay. So I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to take a look at how it looks. All right, so this looks better. Okay, so I think that's all for the archive page for now. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is how to sort out the single product page. We are back here at the WordPress dashboard. We're going to go back to Oxygen templates, and then we want to take a look at the single product template that we created earlier. Let's just check if we have inherited the main template, and we have. So let's click Edit with Oxygen to set up a single product template. Okay, so let's take a look one more time what we will be building. So let's click and check this out. All right, so we haven't done anything yet here. This is how it looks before we set it up. Everything looks messed up. So let me quickly bring up a page that we've finished building. Okay, once again, this is what we are going to be building. So we're gonna have two columns, and we're gonna have this one smaller than this. Okay, so we're gonna use this as the sidebar. Okay, and then we're gonna use this as the main content area. So the sidebar will have the upsells, the recently viewed, reviews, question and answers, and this side is going to have the product information, related product, the description, and the details. Okay, let's jump into Oxygen and start building. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to go through the basics and the fundamentals of layout. Okay, I'm going to use my tool to make me work faster, and that will be my framework. Okay, so first thing, I'm going to drop a section. So we want to create this, we want to create something like this, where you have a section here, where you have, two columns. One is smaller than the other. Okay, so I'm going to create something like that. So just like I did in the previous video, I'm going to drop in a helper grid. So I'm going to go add, I'm going to go to Oxygen, I'm going to drop in a helper grid. I'm still going to use something like this, grid 11. Okay, so that gives me two grids. I want this to be the second one. Okay, now I want to reduce this space just like before, so I'm going to select this and take away the gap 8 and bring in gap 4. Yep, so I like that. Now in this case, I want this to be on this other side. Okay, so I'm going to give it the order of 2, so I want it to be on this other side. Okay, so this section is not actually necessary. I shouldn't have just dropped that, because this grid helper comes with its own section. So I have this layout that I want, which is the same as something like this. Okay, and I want to have, now the next thing I want to have is two layout here. So if you take a look at this, you're going to see that you have one here and then another one here. Okay, so I need two that will be equal width, so maybe 50%. Okay, but I'm going to use grid to lay out my page. Okay, so I'm going to drop in now. Before we do that, because we're going to be building a product, in Oxygen, you need to use the product builder to build a product, okay? So if we drop this in, it's not going to look good. So we have to use a product builder. And the product builder is required for this, okay? And we'll need to, actually it's required for all of this, okay? So because we probably will also need the product builder for something like the question and answer. So we want to drop everything inside the product builder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this grid, okay? I'm going to drop this inside the product builder because this is where, you know, everything will be. So I'm going to drop this. So I'm going to select this and go to product builder. Okay, so product builder, and then I'll bring that to the top. Of course, you can see it already begins to show stuff. We have not even populated anything yet. Okay, so so I'm gonna drop it here. Okay, yeah, that's where I'll drop that product builder. So as you can see, it already populates, but we are not going to use, this is the default product layout, okay, with all this. So what we're going to do is we're going to build ours. So I'm going to move this grid inside the product builder. Okay, so now you see nothing is showing anymore because the product builder immediately recognizes that we want to do a custom layout. So it disables its own default output. Okay, so what I'm going to name this product wrapper. Okay, so I'm just going to rename that to product wrapper. Okay, so I'm going to call this one, I want to call it the sidebar. Okay, I'm going to call this the product info. These are just optional to enable me see what I'm doing. Okay, so I could just move this here for, it doesn't change the order. Okay, we're using the grid layout. Okay, now for these, the first thing I'm going to do is to add another div inside here. Okay, because we need to have, you know, two divs inside. Okay, two divs. So I want to add, I'm going to add a div, and then I'm going to add two divs inside. So basically what I want to do is to add a div, okay, like that, and then I'm going to add two more divs inside here. Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm going to drop a div in there. Okay, and then I want that to be full width. I've given that a full width. Okay, and then inside that div I'm going to drop two more divs, and then just duplicate that, and then I'm going to select this. Okay, and I'm going to call it, let me just call it, let me call this, the first one I'm going to call it product image. Okay, and then the second one I'm going to call it product details. So I'm going to set these to display, you know, as grid. So I'm going to select this div. Okay, I'm going to set it to display as grid, but I want it to be 2 columns grid. So I'm going to write grid column 2. All right, so automatically these two are set side by side. I'm going to drop in the product image. Okay, here, so I just go product image. All right, so we have that. Then for this second one, I'm going to start by dropping in the product title. Okay, so I'm going to go to that, drop the product title. The next thing, I'm going to drop the product meta. Okay, there, and then I'm going to drop the product rating. Okay, and that is it. Okay, so for now, that's what we have. Okay, so let's work with this. I'm going to change this to 16 pixels. Okay, and I think the line height looks okay, nothing wrong with that. And then for the product meta, I think it's okay the way it is. We could adjust it if we need to. All right, so the next thing I want to do is to put in the I want to put in the product price. Okay, so let me just drop that product price there. Okay, and then I want to put in the, now if you take a look at this, let me clear out this, you can see that there is a small line here. Okay, so I want to put a line in between the, you know, the price and the add to cart, you know. Okay, so let's go back there, and then so what I'm gonna select this product rating, and then I'm gonna drop a div. So Oxygen doesn't have a line, you know, doesn't just have a straight line element. So I'm just gonna drop a div, okay, and then I'm gonna set that div to full width, okay, and then I'm gonna go to size and spacing and set the minimum height to 1 pixel. Okay, I could use 0, it really doesn't matter, okay, because I do not want to use anything. In fact, let me use 1 pixel so that we can use that as a line. So we want to use it as a line, a 1 pixel line, and then for the background, I want to set a background. So we already have a border color that we're using in the site, so I'm going to copy that border color, and then I'm going to drop it here. So that's from the Oxymate color system, and then so we have that. It may not be very clear, but we have that that line. Now, what thing I forgot to do is to go to this product info and give it just change it to apply a class of card to it. So I want it to be white, okay, and I want it to have small rounded edge. So I just want to apply a class of card. It automatically does that for me. I want it to have a little shadow, but the card does not have shadow by default, so I'm going to apply a small shadow, so it just gives me that nice, you know, look. I'm going to do the same to the sidebar here. I'm going to just apply the class of card tight, okay, to it, and then just give it a shadow, small shadow, and then that's okay. So let's go back to product detail. So I have that. The next thing I want to put there is I want to put this, the sales total, okay, quantity sold, you know, under the price. So how do we do that? Okay, so let's see now. What we're going to do is that doesn't exist here as an element, okay, it's not here, it's not in the widget. So I'm going to show you how to get that. So you're going to drop in a text, okay, because we're going to use dynamic data to pull that out. So I'm going to drop in a text, okay. I'm going to just select everything and go to insert dynamic data, and then I'm going to go to custom fields, okay, and then I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom here, okay. Just now this is hidden right here. I'm not quite sure why, but like this is just hidden right here, okay. So I'm going to insert that, and that is going to give, you know, the total number. Now it's saying 19 here because already when I imported my Woocommerce product, it imported the whole database from my previous install. So I'd already had 19 orders for this, so it's showing 19. But I'm going to go here, okay. I'm going to double click on it, okay, and then I'm going to write total sales, okay. Yeah, so is that how it's written here? Quantity sold. So let me just copy that. You could write total sales, but I just want it to be short. Okay. All right. So that does it. What I'm going to do is to set the font size to 10 and then the font weight to 800. Okay. So that looks good. The next thing we're going to drop there is another line. Then we're going to drop in the quantity in cart. So let's drop that line. So I'm just going to take this, let me just rename this to line, okay. So I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to move it under this, okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is to put the total quantity in the cart. For that, we are going to use a code block. So I'm just going to drop in a code block, all right. And oh, not in the line, so let me bring it out, okay. Move the line up, okay. So I'm going to just drop in a code for that. So I've pasted a code. I'm going to apply that code, okay. That should, I hope this is not one of the things we need the code snippet for. So let me just save that. Okay, so it's giving us an error. we're going to go to the back end, okay, and then we're going to activate a code snippet. So we're going to go to the snippet, and then there's one code snippet we're going to actually, because we're going to be working on the single product page, I want to activate all this, not all, we're going to activate them one after the other so we get the idea of what does what, okay. So I'm going to activate this show quantity of product added to cart, okay. So I'm going to activate that, and then I'm going to come back to Oxygen and apply this code, and then let me just save that and preview on the front end what we have so far. So it's giving me an error. Okay, let's go to the front end and then check the single product. Okay, so it's giving an error. Let's see. I think we're making a mistake in this. Let me see. Okay, so there is a mistake there. The PHP code. Okay, we missed to close. We didn't close it. Okay, so that's why I'm having that error. Okay. Okay, so that's why. So I'm going to just apply that again, collapse that, and save. Alright, so I believe if I go back to, okay, so this is our reference site. So I'm going to go back and refresh this. Alright, so it's showing the quantity in cart right now. Okay, so item, this is the quantity of this particular, product that is in the cart. Let's go back. Okay, so let's see. So what next is the add to cart button. Okay, so let's see. Now the add to cart button, we have the add to cart button and we have the buy now button. So we need to put those two buttons. Okay, for this quick buy we're going to use a code block, but this is the normal add to cart element. Okay, let's go back, and then because we need two of them, okay, to be together, start horizontally like this, we're going to drop it in a div. So I'm just going to drop a div here, okay, and then I want that also to be full width, and then we're going to make that we're going to drop the add to cart button. Okay, go to Woocommerce, it's a product cart button. Okay, and then I'm gonna drop the code block. Okay, so that code block, I'm gonna just rename it and call it buy now, and then I'm gonna copy the code for this and just drop it here. Okay, so what we're having here is a code that simply outputs the quick buy and then links that product directly to the checkout. Okay, so that's what this code does. So if you want this code to to go to the cart, I think you're going to change this checkout to cart. So if you want it to take directly to the cart, okay, you change this to cart. Okay, all right, so let me apply that code so you can see it echoes out that button. Now I want them to stack horizontally, so I think here I'm just going to use a simple flex box, but then let's just go grid. Okay, so I'm going to go grid on that div. Okay, and then I need it to be 2 columns. Okay, grid column 2. So now what happens is this. If you take a look at this, you have this is a variable product, okay, that has a lot of content. Okay, now this is a simple product that has just one button and doesn't have all those variation. So now what happens is this. If I save this and then we go to the front end to view a variable product, this is what we'll get. Now let's look for where can we get a variable product. So let me just okay. So I want to go to the shop and then check for a variable product, which is what we are previewing here is the iPhone copy. So I'm gonna just go there. Okay, so you see how it looks. It doesn't look good because we have this squashed all the way down. And besides, the buy now will not work for a variable product. So we do not want to show this button if the product is a variable product, okay? We want to show this button if it is a simple product. Now remember, now if we go back to the back end, we have installed a plugin called, let's check that. We've installed this plugin called WP Lead Woocommerce for Oxygen. So we're going to use that condition and check if the product is a simple product, then we want that button to show. So I'm going to select this button and then we're going to go to conditions, okay? Set condition, add your first condition. And we're going to scroll all the way down to the where you have product, okay? And I'm going to select product type. If product type is equals to simple. Now these are the conditions that are to be met before we put that button. And then we're going to add another one. Now if product in stock, okay, so we're going to want to check if the product is also in stock before, because we don't want that button to show if the product is not in stock. So we want to check if that product is in stock. So if the product in stock is, so that is true. So this means if product in stock is true. So if the product is in stock, okay, so we're going to put that button. All right, so let me close this and save. So we're going to go back once this saves. We're going to go back and then now this product is not a simple product. So I'm going to refresh it. All right, so it is not a simple product. So we're going to, it's not going to show if it is not a simple product. So it's not showing. But the problem we have here is that this was set to, you know, to be 2 columns. So let's see how we can solve that. Okay, so to deal with a situation like this, where when this button doesn't display, this is going to be left hanging, okay? So what I'm going to do is, I will not use grid, okay? So I'm going to take off that grid. Probably it's possible to use grid, but it's going to be easier for me to use the flex box, okay? All right, so I don't want to use grid. Now I want a situation where I set this width, okay? I'm gonna use the flex box, okay? I'm gonna set it to stack horizontally, and then I want to set this, since the add to cart button will be bigger than the buy now button, okay? I'm gonna set it to the width to 60%, okay? No, I'm not gonna do that. That's still gonna give us a fixed width, okay? So I'm gonna set the width to auto, and then I'm gonna set the minimum width to 60, okay? And then I'm gonna do the same here. I'm gonna go to size and spacing. I'm gonna set the width to auto, and then I'm gonna set the minimum width to 40%. Okay, so what happens here is, now if there is nothing, you know, we're setting the width to auto. So if, you know, if there's nothing, so I'm gonna refresh this, it's just gonna fill in the remaining space, okay? But once there is something else, it will not go lower. That other button comes like this. It's not going to go lower than 60%. So we have, how do I clear this? All right. So we have this 60% minimum width, and this is 40% minimum width. Okay. So if this is not displayed, this is going to take up the width that is available for it. Okay. So it's going to just display in its own full width, okay? It will not necessarily stretch. It's just going to display in its, you know, its own full width. All right. So if its width was, say, maybe 300 pixels, it's going to display the whole 300 pixels. Okay. All right. So and we're going to be adjusting that at different breakpoints. Okay. So let's just do that now. Before I do that, I'm going to select this product detail, okay, and then I'm going to apply the space Y, otherwise known as the owl spacing, okay. So I'm going to apply the space Y, 3, that's 12 pixels, 8 space 2 will give me 8 pixels in between. So 8 pixels in between is fine, okay. So I'm just going to save that. Let me quickly do the responsive for this. Now what I want is at this breakpoint, this is, you know, I think this is going to be fine for this, but for this I think everything should move under. So actually at this breakpoint, yep, at this breakpoint, yeah, this should move under. Okay, so remember that what we were using now, if you're using Flexbox to do this, so what you do is you're just going to set this back to this, let's see, this product image. Where is the sidebar? Okay, so if you were using Flexbox, you're going to just set it back to 100%. So to do that, I'm going to, let's just take a look at this. So what I have here is 4 columns. Okay, so my grid, this grid is giving me 4 columns. Okay, so I have 4 column grid here. So that means I want this to span the whole 4 column, and also this will span the whole 4 column at this breakpoint. So this breakpoint, for me, it is the large breakpoint, small, medium, and large. So I'm going to span, okay, for large breakpoint, I want it to span, 4 columns. Okay, and then this is also going to span 4 columns for large breakpoint. So large column span 4. So that fills it in for me. And now that's fine for that breakpoint. Then if we move to the next breakpoint, I want this, to begin to stack. Okay. All right. So I'm going to select the product info and open it. So, and then this. Okay. Now, I'm not quite sure why there is space here. Let's go back for this. Okay, that had, yeah, you had a full width. Okay, all right. So this is me just fiddling with the responsive. I believe you already know how to do responsive. Okay, so what I want is on this breakpoint, I want these two to stack. So what I had here was I had a grid column 2, so that means I want each of them to span 2 at this breakpoint, and this breakpoint is the small medium. Okay, so I'm gonna medium column span 2, so that fills up. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same here, so medium column span 2. Okay, all right, so I have that here. Okay, so that works, and yeah, that works. And I think that's cool. And then I think I can just give this a bottom margin. Okay, but let's leave that for now. We're gonna deal with that later, or I could just give it a bottom margin at this breakpoint. Okay, so let's say I give it 20. All right. Okay, that's fine. At these breakpoints, okay. Now I want to set these buttons to show at 100%. Okay, so for this, first of all, I'm going to select this. Okay, so what we did was here. Okay, I'm going to select this this breakpoint, and then select the product card. Okay, and then go to size and spacing, and now I'm going to set the minimum width to 100%. Now I could set a width. Okay. So I set it the minimum width to 100%, and then I'm going to set this also. Why don't we just make that the width? Okay, so I'm just going to make it a width. Okay, and then also I'm going to make this a width. Okay, so because I've already set a minimum width, so let me just give that 100% too. And for this, yeah, I've already given it a minimum width. So let me take this off. So because that minimum width is going to override the width. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stack this vertically at this breakpoint. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to give this, so I'm going to give it a margin bottom, okay, of say 20 pixels. All right, just separate that. So okay, all right, so this one is causing some issues, not quite sure, but we're going to deal with whatever problem we have in terms of layout. Okay, so we have this let's see, full width. So I want to see what is causing this sidebar to. So it doesn't have, it has a, yep, spanning 4. And this also is spanning 4. So I still have this. And that was not supposed to be there, but it's not making any difference. So let's go ahead. I'm going to figure out why this space is here. Okay, so we're going to deal with that later. So what I want to do now is I'm going to add for the sidebar. Let me quickly add something. Okay, so I'm going to add, the next thing I want to add on the sidebar is upsells. So I'm just going to go to add. Okay, and we see product upsell from the Woocommerce, from the Oxygen Woocommerce section. So we have that. So I'm going to go to layout and set this to display 2. Okay, so you actually have to come and select that 2, even though it is showing as if it is 2. You have to select it. So that's the first thing. And then I want this button to just be slightly smaller than this. So I'm going to go to the buttons and give it a pixel of 4, padding 4, 10, 10. Okay, and that is the main button. Okay, so I'm going to do the same to this. 4, 10, 10. All right. And the rest of the things we are going to use custom CSS to style it. Now on this sidebar, what I want to do is I'm going to remove that that card class from it. Okay, the reason is I want to apply it to the element itself, because I need that, the separation, between each of these elements. So I'm just going to apply that card type to this. Okay, and also the shadow. Okay, so you can see it has that that nice card-like look. And the next thing I'm going to add there is the recently viewed product. So I'm going to add. Then I'm going to go to WordPress widget. Okay, recent viewed product. Okay, so let's see. It pulls in this. Okay. And then I'm going to also add the class of card to it to just style it. Card type. And then the shadow. The small shadow class. And so to make it separate from each other, to give it a spacing, for this, I'm just going to give that sidebar a space Y. Space Y3 to give it a 12 pixel separation from each other. And then another thing I want to add there is the product tab. So I'm just going to select that to add it under. So I'll go to add, back here, Woocommerce, and then product tabs. And of course, I'm going to add the card and the shadow class to it. Let's save this and take a look. All right, let's refresh. Okay, so what I quickly notice is this no padding. So let's quickly take a look at it. Why is that so? So I'm looking at the product detail. Okay, so I need to give it, I need to separate these two. Okay, this uses the grid. Okay, so I guess that is why I had to give this product image a bottom margin here, which wasn't necessary. So I'm going to take that out, and then I'm going to just drop in a gap. Okay, there instead. So let me just close out that and give it a gap of, say, what that 20 should be gap 5, but let me give it a gap 6. I did that on the wrong. It should be on this div, not on the product image. So let me take it out from there. So I'm supposed to select the parent, okay, of these two, and then give it the gap. So let me just go search for gap 5. No gap 5, so I'll settle with 4. Alright, so that separates it. So we go back to the full screen, okay. All screen, we should see that our gap is being applied and we don't have that you know, lack of spacing. So I'm going to refresh here. Alright, for some reason my fonts are not applying here. Now there's one thing I noticed we're missing. Okay, we didn't put this this breadcrumb here. Okay, so before we sort out the font, let's quickly do that. Now this breadcrumb is going to be where? Just above the product builder. So I want to drop it above the product builder. So I'm going to select this grid and just drop it in. So we have it right here. So let's look for it. Breadcrumb. Okay. All right, here. So I'm going to move it from here all the way to the top of the product builder. Okay, so that's the breadcrumb. It's not showing up. Alright, it's showing up now. So I'm going to give it a font size of 12 pixel, and then for the color, I just want to give it the secondary color. Okay, color secondary. Yeah, just going to give it a secondary color, and then a bottom margin. Let's say a bottom margin of 8 pixel. Okay. So let's quickly check why we don't have these fonts, okay, showing up here. Okay, what I did was I disabled Google Fonts from loading because I wanted to, you know, put my fonts locally. So I'm just going to quickly enable that and then get back. Okay, so I'll quickly re-enable the fonts. Okay, I wanted to, you know, put these fonts locally, but I didn't get to download it. All right. Okay, so so the next thing we're going to do is, so we already have this description here, but we don't want a description. We don't want, what we want to have here is, we just want to have the review, okay? Like we have here reviews and question and answers. So if we take a look at this, you can see that, let's check this product. So it's showing just 2, okay? So what I want to do is to disable these two. I have a snippet to disable these two, the description and the additional information. I want only the review to show. Okay. So I'm going to go to the back end. I'm going to go to the snippet, and then I'm going to enable a particular snippet. So I'm going to enable now this snippet. What it does is that it removes the description and additional information tab. Okay. So I'm just going to save and activate it. So that's one snippet you're going to enable, remove Woocommerce tabs, okay? And then let me check if there's any other one. And then I'm also going to change this right here. So this you may also like, we want to change it to customers also bought. So I'm going to enable that. You may also like, and I'm also going to enable the you may be interested in bit, okay? To another text. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to refresh this. So to customers also bought. So that's that. All right, so we've not styled this yet. We're going to style it now. So you see the you know, the other tabs are off, only the review is left here, but we have another tab here called question and answer. So we're going to go back to the back end, and then we go to our plugins. There's one more plugin we're going to enable. So let's take a look at that. So we have customer reviews. Okay, so what we have here is the default customer reviews. It doesn't have all these, you know, bars. So I'm going to enable this, activate this plugin. It's called Customer Review for Woocommerce by Carousel. I'm going to activate that. So you install and activate that, and then now once you install and activate this plugin, Customer Reviews for Woocommerce by Carousel, okay, you're going to go here and then you go to question and answers, and then you're going to, okay, so nope, you're not going there. You're going to setting. Okay, you have to first of all enable the question and answer. So you go to settings, go to the question and answer, and then yeah, so just enable this to display. So I think I've already done that. Okay, make sure you enable that to display the question and answers tab. So let's refresh this. I'm going to refresh that, and then the question and answers tab shows up. Okay. Okay, so what's next is we're going to add these related products, and we're going to style all this, you know. So let's leave it like that, like this for now. Let's see, we have everything we need here. Okay, all right. Yeah, we have the quantity in cart, the sold quantity. Okay, everything is in place. All right, so next, related products. We're going to go back here under this div. So under this div, inside here, so where did we have the card? Okay, so where we had a product card was here. So I think we should move that product card away from here. Okay, so I'm going to remove that card class and the shadow class from that div, and then we're going to apply those two classes to here. I just want to so we can have that separation that I talked about between each div. Okay, so all right, so that's good. We're going to add another div, you know, under that particular div. We're going to go to add a div. So I'm going to make this full width, and I'm going to apply you know, the card settings to these two, because this is where we're going to drop that related product. Okay, by the way, if you're interested in this framework, is the Oximate framework that I'm using. So it's a real-time server. Okay, so I'm gonna add the related product. Okay, so we have this related product showing up here. Okay, so for the layout, we want it to show 4. Okay, it's already showing 4. And then maybe at this breakpoint, I would like it to show 2. Okay, so we have it showing 4 from here all the way to here. Okay, and then at this one, it shows 2. Okay, so that's okay. Now we're gonna do something with this button. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it a 8 pixel of padding up and down, because those buttons look really big, so I want them to be smaller. I'm gonna go out. Then I'm gonna go out from here and set the title, of this to a smaller font type. Okay, so I'm gonna give it 18. Actually, what I mean is this, not not this. Okay, and then for this, I think this is what is known as the links. So I'm gonna go back and just give it a smaller size. Links, I'm gonna give it 12. Okay, so the rest of the things we're probably gonna style it with a style sheet. Okay, so we have that, and see, it's just this div and this div are just close to each other. So what I want to do is to select this product info and give it a space Y. Let me just give it a space Y of 8. So that's a considerably large, div, so we need a bigger space. Alright, so let's save what we've done so far before we continue. So the next thing is to put this description and the details. So we're almost done. Left for the styling. So for this, I'm just going to duplicate this div. Okay. I need to refresh this system. Okay, I've gone ahead to refresh the page. It was getting a bit slow. So what I'm going to do is to take out this related product. So what we want to put there is the product description. So I'm going to go to add this, and then I'm just going to choose description. Where is it? Product description. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to duplicate that div. Then for these, I'm going to take this one out. So I think what we're going to have there first is the excerpts. The product, whoops, let's look for that. Okay, excerpts. So we have that. So that will come first. So I want to put a heading. I want to just put a heading there. Okay, let's move this to the top. And then, okay, so I'm gonna make it H6. Okay. Actually, I don't want to make it H6. Okay, so for the purposes of SEO, I think this should be H2. Okay, but then I want to apply a style of H6, the size to it, and then I'm gonna call it description. Okay, and then if you take a look at the reference design, we have this line here. Okay, and I want to use this this typography to create the whole of that. So I'm gonna give it a border bottom. Okay, so border B. Okay, border bottom, and then of course, so that border is there, and then I'm gonna make it full width. Okay, and then I'm gonna give it a padding up and down. So I'm gonna give it what called the PY, padding on the y-axis up and down, and that's gonna be PY2. And then this border, I want it to have the border color. So yep, so that does it. And since we've already set this up, so we have that. I think I should give this a bottom margin. Okay, so I'm just gonna give that a margin bottom of, let's say, just like that. And then because we've set this up, I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm gonna move it to the next section, like the next div. Okay, and then for that I'm gonna call it details. Okay, so this will be the product details. Okay, and then I have a useful utility class that I created for myself which I use in giving this text two column. Okay, so just to reduce how much space it takes, so I did it for some rich text elements, so I call it rich text column 2 with line. Okay, so it just gives me that nice 2 column with a line in the middle. I'm also going to do the same here, and it's responsive. Okay, I set it up to be responsive, so when we get down to the lower breakpoint, the column becomes 1 and the line goes away. Okay, so I set that up. It's a very useful personal utility class. I mean, if you're interested, I can show you how I set it up from here. Okay, so I have it all the way down here. Yep. So this is what I did, the line on. So column count 2, column gap 3%, column row solid 1 pixel. Then I gave it a color, particular color, which is a light gray, and then I wrote a media query for it. The column count becomes 1. Okay, so no line. The same here. So that's what I did. Okay, so we have set up these two. Okay, I think that's fine. What is left? Let's go and look at our widget. So we look at this. Let me take a look at this upsell, the widget title. Now, of course, we could do this via the settings. So if I go to settings, if I go to global styles and go to Woocommerce, under widget, I could set the font size. Okay, so I've set the font size under widget to 18. Now, if I change this, okay, it's going to change all the widget size all through the site. So perhaps that's why I don't want to touch this, because in the archive page, some of the widget will have a different size from the widgets in this single product page. So I'm just going to edit the widget directly from here. So I'm going to set the title, the font size to 12. Okay, and then for these, for the links, okay, I'm going to set it to 12 also. Okay, this is I'm not quite sure why I just did not select this. Okay, so I shouldn't have been on that class. So let me go to that product. All right, let's do that again. 12. Okay, and then the links 12. All right, so that works. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for these. Okay, we're going to make sure that I'm on the ID, and then for these, how many do we want to display? How many recently viewed products do we want to display here? Okay, so I want to display 4. Okay, and then I'm going to hit apply. Okay, so once we have enough recently viewed products, it's going to show up here. And for this, we're going to style it with CSS. We don't have a lot of options here. And the next thing is the product tab. I'm going to set the heading. Okay, let's go back here. We're going to set the headings to 12. Okay, and then for the additional info, I'm just going to set this to 20. Nothing is really there. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look. Nothing really. The other styling will be doing it with the CSS. And let's see. So we have 12, 12, 12. All right, so let's take a look at our reference side. So we have these related product description. Okay. All right, so is there anything here that we do not have? Okay, so we've basically placed everything. So let me just hit the save button, and then we're going to preview our site on the front end. All right. Okay, so this is our site on the front end. So what is left, I think, should be the custom CSS. Okay, there's one more thing. If we look at this, we have this you know, carousel effect, which we don't have here. And to get that, I'm going to go to the back end and enable a code snippet. Okay, so let's do that. So yeah, the WooCommerce single product carousel option. So that's adds that effect to it. So if I go back to that single product and refresh, okay, that doesn't. Okay, so yeah, it does work. So what we're going to do is to add the CSS that will you know, take these two buttons and place them here and replace the text with some icons. So that is going to be based on styling. Okay, so let me quickly copy that that CSS and paste it. So now I'm going to just see if I can use just place it here for us to see what happens. Unfortunately, Firefox just isn't a browser of choice when it comes to doing stuff like this. Okay, so I just want to paste it here. Okay, so you can see what happens. So it automatically moves that, you know, stuff here. So this is the CSS for it. Okay, so it just takes everything. If I remove that CSS, everything goes back here. So paste it back, everything goes back here. All right, so that is the styling for it. So I'm just gonna take that styling, that CSS, and put it in a style sheet. Okay, let me go to the bottom just before the media queries. Okay, so these are the media queries. I'm gonna just drop it there. Okay, then another CSS we want to put, so let me just keep this here for now, or I could take that away. Another CSS I want to put is for the recently viewed. So we have see our recently viewed product, how it looks. So let's see. Let's quickly just do something about this sales batch. You know, when we are looking at the store, we have this square sales. Okay, so we want it to be consistent. So I want to put that sales batch, single product sales batch, to make it the same. Okay, so that is the CSS for it. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is the quick buy button. Let me cut this quick buy. If I need I don't want a variable product. Okay, so maybe something like this. That's not a variable product. Okay, so okay, so let's do something about the quick buy button. Okay, so all right, so okay, so something is not right. Okay, so let me take away that for now. Okay, then we'll look at it again. It's not showing what is, even this is not showing. The add to cart button is not showing. Okay, so let me refresh this page and see what's going on here. All right, so it probably has to do with where I dropped the CSS. Okay, okay, so that's a quick buy. So it works. I dropped that CSS in the wrong place, and then I'm going to still put this other one, single product sales batch. Okay, so that's it. So the next styling we're going to do is what I want to do is to remove some extra margins from this bottom. Okay, here. So I'm just going to drop a small CSS that will do that. Okay, so that just takes away all the extra margin, okay, from the product. So there were just too much of margin. So I want everything to be like that. Then another one is I'm going to add a CSS for widget titles. So yeah, that just drops this down a bit. Okay, but this is supposed to be the same as this, so I probably have a different CSS for that. So the next one is this related products. Okay, I want to drop a CSS that will give it, you know, what happened is I wanted to have some lines in between. Okay, All right, so you see it has these borders around it, and it just looks more, it looks a little bit better. So that's CSS is for that. Now another thing is this product tab. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just to drop a CSS, okay, for that product tab. So just to make it look a little bit better, okay. So that is just that, just to make it look better. And then for the tabs, I'm going to drop a CSS for it. All right, so that's what styles that to be like that. All the CSS is going to be available for you, okay. And the review tab, okay, this review tab, what I want to do is to draw some CSS that will just do something about that review tab, okay. All right, so you see what happens. It automatically just what happened here is it changes everything here to display flex. It rearranges this stuff. You can see we still have this avatar. We have a CSS that's going to remove that, and we also have a CSS that's going to make this slicker. So we will keep pasting. All right. Now for the question and answers tab, I also have a CSS for it. All right, so just for everything to have the same color scheme as what we have been using so far. Then for this review, I want to remove this that avatar, okay. I want to remove that image. All right, so that does it. And then the next thing is the review bars. These bars, I have CSS for it, so I'm gonna paste that. All right, so that changes it to look like this slicker, And then for this, I have some more CSS for the swatches that you see here. Those are just minor stuff, which I'm just going to drop. But before that, let's just cut all of this and go into Oxygen, okay, and paste it. All right, I'm going to paste that before the media query. So yep, everything there is working. I'm going to save this, and we'll refresh the front end and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to quickly refresh the front end. All right. Okay. So things are in place. Okay, so let's continue. So you see now we have two recently viewed coming up. So we'll still style this. Inspector style sheet. Okay, so the next thing is now I wanted to show you something about the variation swatches. Okay, this one is out of stock. I need something that has the variation swatches. All right, so you see if I select this, it has that green color and all that. So I think I have a style for that. So let me quickly enter this and drop CSS there. So let's see. Okay, that doesn't change anything, and I'm pretty much sure that it has to do with some of these things may have to do with this Firefox, but let's just leave that there, okay. And then those are not very important. So I have another CSS here that I'm going to paste, okay. The product price, can't quite remember what this does, okay. Product price on single product, okay. So I guess that has to do with when you have a simple product, so let's just leave that there. And then recently viewed product, okay, the CSS for that. So I'm just going to drop this. Okay, so now this comes with a class recently viewed single, okay. So I'm just going to take all this, cut this, and then while we are in here, okay, so let me paste. Let's look at all this stuff. Let me paste this here. Now this comes with this is supposed to have a class, because that recently viewed, has a class of recently viewed single. So I'm just going to take that class, okay. I already have that class, so you just type it. The reason it's showing here is because I already have it. I already typed it. So you just apply that class. So you can see once I apply that class, see how it changed. So if I remove that class, so that's what happens. But once I put back that class, everything, lines up the way the CSS makes it to line up. Okay, let's save this, and then we're going to look at the front end. All right, so okay, this looks okay. So you see the recently viewed, they look good here. Okay, everything is perfectly lined up. Okay, this is looking good. This is supposed to stretch all the way here. I'm not quite sure why that is not happening. Let's see. So you see this stretching all the way here. Okay, so we're going to sort that out later. So you can see the styling is applied to all this. Everything looks good here. All right, so we have some more CSS we're gonna add. Another thing I want to do is this. Let me select this and add this to cart. All right, so we see this. We want to style this this stuff. Okay, now we already applied the CSS that makes it disappear. I'm sorry, there's a JavaScript I have on the site that is making it to disappear. By default it doesn't. So let's take a look at that. So what I did, I installed this this plugin called Header Footer Code Manager. So let me just show you. Okay, so Header Footer Code Manager, that's it right here. And then I created I went to add a new snippet, and then let me go in there to show you what that is. So I called it, the name doesn't matter, fade out, added to cart after 5 minutes. I wanted to display, side wide, but I wanted to exclude some pages that don't have that. Okay, you could just do your setting here where you want it to display, but then I put it in the header. I need it to run on all devices, and it's active. Okay, so this is it. It's just a JavaScript function that picks the class of that message and tells it to fade out after 5 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to make this available for you to download and drop it in your even if you drop it in the JavaScript section in a code block in your main template. Okay, but that is just going to make it run every time, everywhere. So this is better for you to just manage where it runs, where you put it and all. Okay, so we're going to go back to styling that that message that says added to cart. Okay, so I'm just going to drop in the style. Okay, I'm going to drop in the style here. Let me drop it at the bottom before the media queries. All right, I'm going to drop it there. So that styles that message. Okay. All right, I'm going to refresh this page so that if I add to cart, we're going to have to see the new look. So I'm going to do that. So you see how it looks now. It looks more sleeker. It looks smaller, and then it disappears. Okay. For this, I'm just going to do some tidy up here. I'm going to select this, and then I really want to take off the extra padding here. Of course, I'm not going to be doing it on the background, so it's going to be on the section. Okay. Okay, so that brings it closer to the top here. That's what I want. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to save this. So I'm going to refresh this and see what happens. So Let's just refresh it by selecting another. Okay. All right. So this is our page. It's looking nice. The buttons are not. We need to do something about these buttons. Okay. So all right. Let me select these buttons, and then I'm gonna do something about the typography. Okay, that is supposed to be like 12 or 10. Okay. All right, and then let's do the same here, 10 too, and we're gonna do the same for the other widget that have buttons like this. Okay, so for the button, I'm gonna change the typography to 10. I'm also gonna do it for this. All right. Then the next thing we're going to do to, for our buttons, we want our buttons to be blue like this. Okay. So all the buttons, okay, I'm going to go to Woocommerce, buttons, and okay, I already have my primary color set. So so why is our button not showing? Okay, I think we use CSS for that, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to quickly do that. So let me save this. So I have a class called Woocommerce buttons. Okay. I'm going to go to style sheet. Sorry, I have a CSS for Woocommerce buttons. Okay. So I'm just going to go down here and paste it. So we're going to change the look of this button. So let me just paste in here. So yeah. So that applies. What that does is it applies my secondary color and primary colors to the normal and hover state respectively. If you get the CSS, okay, you will have to replace this with your own color. Just check for where you have these color variables in any of the CSS that I've given you. Please make sure you go in and replace this. Okay, just search for var var and then take away the colors there and put yours. Okay, so that should tidy up I think a bit of what we had to do on the single product page. Let's take a final look and see what is left. Let me refresh this. All right, so looking good. This might be a tad too small, the paddings that I gave here, so you could adjust that. We had that in the settings, so you could just go in and adjust that. Okay. All right, so things are looking good here. Now the problem here is for this, what we had here is this button spans all the way, but for our own it does not. So I'm just wondering why it doesn't. Okay. So let me take a look at this button and see why. Okay. Let me give it a width of okay. If I give that a width of 50% and this 50%, there's a width of yep. Okay, so that should sort it out. I'm not quite sure why that isn't reflecting on the CSS. Anyway, so whether I should fix that, include it in the CSS, I'm not sure. It's something you could tackle, if you. but let me see if I can just include that. So the class of review tab, I want to see where I missed it, because it's actually the same CSS that I gave, that I'm using. So that's what I have given to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy that row, and for this one also I'm going to copy that. I want to drop it somewhere, and then let's figure out why this is having a lot of gap. Okay, so for this is having so much gap. So we have all these classes. If I remove that, the shadow, the full width, so the whole of this. So yeah, I think I'm seeing the problem here. Medium column span 1. So at what point did we apply that style? Because what we're supposed to have is span 4. So when did we have span 1 and we did not notice? Okay, so let me check out what is happening here. So okay, so where are we now? So it's supposed to be on the product info. Okay, so do we have span 1 here, class? So what it's telling me here is that we have a span 1 class here, and I kind of was looking for something like that, but I didn't see it. So let's take a look at it. And behold, medium span 1. We were supposed to have medium span 4. Okay, so let's see. We have this, we have this, we have this. So small, medium. Okay, so I'm gonna take that out. All right, so we had this small, medium, large span 4. So the span 4 cascades down. So that is enough for for this. So I think that was a mistake. I didn't even realize that I added something there, and everything is okay now. Okay, no space, no gap. So I think that's fine. So for this looks good at this breakpoint. Looks good, and I'm beginning to wonder what happens with our CSS that we are not having this thing move all the way. So let me take one more look at that CSS. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to take that piece of CSS, okay, and then I'm going to drop it here, but I want to see if it's going to have any effect on the mobile breakpoint, because we need to account for that. So I'm going to drop that inside here. So let's check for where we dropped it. It's supposed to be question and answers tab, product tab, tabs, question and answers tab. Okay, so I'm just going to drop it at the very beginning there. Okay, so you see it's causing problem here, so we're going to take that also and go to the mobile breakpoint. Okay, all the way down at from where is this collapsing? Let me check where it is collapsing. iPad. So it's collapsing on iPad. That is 1024 760. Let's remove this. Okay, from 800. Okay, so let me just write the media query. So I'm just gonna do this, copy here, paste this, change this to 800 and close it out, and then I'm gonna paste this. Okay, then I'm gonna change this to 100% and this to 100%. Okay, 100. All right, so I've accounted for that. So at the smaller breakpoints, it's still gonna remain, and then when we get to the higher breakpoints, we still have the 50% increase. Okay, All right, so you can see this lines up properly, and of course the changes here is not reflecting on the back end but on the front end. So you can see that review, it looks good here. Okay, so I'm going to save this and then we'll refresh the front end. All right, so we have this perfect. Okay. All right. So what else is left? Let's scrutinize. Okay, so let's now. One of the things that I had an issue with was on this recently viewed product. Okay, so if I go to open this on a private window, now where we have not yet viewed a product. Okay, so what I found was that the recently viewed products, widget still shows up empty. So what we need to do is we want to avoid this showing up. So we need to create a condition, okay, that if the recently viewed product does not exist, we don't want this, widget to be displayed, okay. And unfortunately, there is no such widget. There's no such condition. So let me just select that and then with that selected, okay, I want to go to conditions. Now, there is no condition that's, there is no such condition. I'm not quite sure why I'm having this stuff here, but there's no condition that says if recently viewed, if the product doesn't have recently viewed also. So we will have to, okay, I need to refresh this. Okay, so if you go to that Woocommerce, so you see there's nothing here that says has recently viewed, okay, or is recently viewed or anything. So what we're going to do is, if you take a look at the Woocommerce recently viewed, okay, I mean it uses, if you take a look at Woocommerce cookies, now the recently viewed feature uses a cookie to determine if the visitors already viewed, okay, that product. So now if you take a look at it here, you see Woocommerce recently viewed. I'm gonna copy that. It says it powers the recently viewed product widget. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is to check for a cookie that has the value. Okay. A cookie that contains the value, the word recently viewed. Okay, because that's the name of that's a cookie name. Okay. A return value, a cookie. So I'm going to save, and then we're going to refresh that private window and see what happens. So this is the private window. I'm going to refresh to see if this will still show up. All right, so you see we have one recently viewed here, so I'm just going to right click and open in a new private window just to let's close this. It's the browser session, the cookie session is still in place. Let's do that again. Open in a new private window where we don't have recently viewed. So we have a recently viewed here. So I'm going to open it in Chrome. Okay. Let's do this. Copy. I'm going to copy a link. Okay. So you see where we don't have the recently viewed, that widget doesn't show up empty. Okay. So that problem is solved. Okay. So if I refresh now, it's now going to show that we have seen this product. Okay. Yeah, so that's what happens. Okay, so we have solved that problem. Okay, so this is our site and everything is looking good. The button here is square, okay, while this is round. So that is just a simple CSS to correct that, change the border radius. I'm not going to go into that. We're spending a lot of time, so the little things you can do on your own. Okay, let's see what is left here. I want to be sure that we are done with everything on this page, because in the next part 3 we're going to be looking at all the bells and whistles, these shopping carts, building this stuff, and building the cart, customizing the cart page, to look like this. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at. So for now, I want to be sure that we are done with this page and we're not coming back here. So this is the reference site, this is the reference page, okay, and this is ours. So apart from the header, which is blue, you know, everything, you know, is there. Okay, so in this case we put this under. Okay, so all I did was to select it and make it to display flex. Okay, so to bring it on up, and I kind of like the way it shows here, you know, side by side. Okay, what else? Related product description, recently viewed, customers also bought. All right. So one other thing I said I was going to do, you know, would be to reduce the height of this text because these things are really tall. Okay, so if I just do that and view, you know, select that, and then I'm just gonna add a CSS, and then it's gonna adjust that. Okay, so basically what you're gonna use in adjusting this is the line height. Okay, white spacing, height. So that's that affects all these products. Okay, so all of them can be on the same, you know, line. Okay, so I'm gonna put that CSS so that you know, everything will just look neat and clean. So what am I gonna call it? Okay, so what I'm gonna call it, I'm just gonna say product name. Let me just say shorten product name. Okay, put it there. That's not the complete thing. Okay, so I'm supposed to copy the rule, everything there, and then I'm gonna paste it here. Alright, so I'm just gonna save this, and then let's refresh. Alright, okay, so that looks clean and neat, you know, 3 lines only, so everything aligns perfectly. Okay, alright. If we go to the back end, we're gonna have this countdown timer. Okay, if you want to have the countdown timer, I'm gonna show you what plugin you're going to use. Okay, so it's part of the suite for these guys. So if you go here and check what they call essential kits, you're going to see countdown. Okay, so you can just scroll all the way down. So product countdown timer. Okay, and then okay, so this is it. Countdown timer for Woocommerce. Okay, so if I just install that, and you have to, once you install and activate, you have to go into the product to set it up. Okay, so I'm going to set it up on one product. Once it finishes installing, I'm going to activate it. Okay, alright, so now what I'm going to do is, let's refresh this. Okay, so you see the countdown time. I'm going to click that to see the options, how to use. When editing the product, you can choose countdown tab, you know, and then add your countdown timer. And where do you want to position this? You can also use shortcode to place it. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this, or I think I'll just place it above the cart. Okay, on archive, you know, on the archive page we don't want it. Okay, because we had a custom archive page. We don't want it. If we want it, we would just use this. Okay, and place it there. And then for this, I'm just going to place it above the cart. And let's see. I should have saved that, right? Okay. I'm going to save that. And these other settings, yeah, let everything remain that way. Okay, so let's leave this. So I'm going to go to the product. And then just one product. I need a product that has is on sale. The iPhone copy is on sale, so I'm gonna use that. All right, so this, I'm going to edit this product. It's a variable product, so let's leave that for now. This HTC desire, okay, let's use that. And then you go to the countdown section. You want it to be active. I'm going to set it to start. What's today? Yeah, start today, and end any day after today. So I'm just gonna put the text above, hurry now before this ends. Okay, let's put that. And then if it has ended, you're gonna say offer ended. All right, what style? Flat is good. And just gonna update that. And then I'm gonna go to the, should probably just view that product straight here. Okay, who knows, it's not showing. So I guess because we're building this, you know, manually, we probably need to use the shortcode. So I think I'd copied that shortcode. I did not. All right, let's go back. Okay, let's just look at this properly to be sure that it's not from a setting. Countdown, yes, this product is on sale. Sure. And we're setting it to start. Today is 25th, yeah. And then end after today. Okay. So we're going to use the shortcode and see what happens. Let me refresh this editor. Okay, so this has refreshed. I'm just gonna drop a shortcode probably under this yeah, just under here. So I'm gonna select this and then I'm gonna add a shortcode. I'm gonna paste that. Sorry. Okay. That shortcode, I want the width to be 100%. Okay, nothing is showing, but let's save and see what we have at the front end. Okay, so nothing shows still. Not quite sure why. Active, yes. Okay, let's go back to that plugin settings. Let's try this on this product. This one I'm gonna really backdate. The product. Okay. Countdown, active, yes. Let's backdate it like all the way back, and then in all the way forward. And the style flats, square. Let me use round for now and see what it looks like. I'm gonna save this. Then I'm gonna view product. Okay, so it's showing. So I'm gonna go back and just change that style from the flat. I really do not like, the rounded. I really don't like that rounded. Okay. All right, so you could always style this, you know, to be the way you want. So once it's finished saving, I'm just gonna refresh this. So I guess the reason we didn't have that is because we really didn't backdate that, you know, the HTC desire. We didn't have that. So if we backdated that very well, it was going to show up. So if I go back there and then take this maybe all the way to the 24th, okay, and yes, and say update. So I kind of feel it's going to show up now. All right, so that was the problem. We set it on the same day that we are in, so it really didn't pick up. And sometimes these things would show up here. So all you need to do is to style it. Okay, I'm not going to do that. So you could style it, make it just reduce the font size, that's all. Okay, so that's how to add that. And then another thing is to have these you know, those live sales show up. Okay, so the live sales notification, you know, that you have on the website that shows that this person has bought this, the other person has bought that, you know. Add new. So we're going to search for live sales notification. So this is what I use, who bought live sales notification. Okay, this. There are other ones. Okay, so if you just search for it, there are a couple of them by Woocommerce, and there's one by Woocommerce. Let's see if we can find that. Okay, so this, I think this this had better reviews than this. Okay, but this is what I use in my demo, so but I'm gonna use this one for the sake of so let's install this. I guess it should be very simple to set up. Once you install and just configure it, it starts showing up, you know, instantly. Okay. All right. So not very familiar interface. Okay. Okay. So recent display recent sales. Okay. Yeah. Random sales. But a lot of settings here I'm not very familiar with. Okay, let's see, content template. Yep, this is nice. No, a lot of stuff like that. But I think let's just see how this works. Display buy avatar, hide on mobile, hide close button, display customers own notification. Okay, delay between 8 seconds. All right, let's take a look at it. So we've installed this. It should show. So I'm going to just go to the cart. Okay, so I'm going to add this to cart, and then I'm going to view cart. Okay, and I'm going to just proceed to check out. All right, so it's beginning to show. Okay, so you can see I'm going to place that order. So yeah, so it's showing up now. So you take time and configure that to suit what you want. Okay, if you need to style it, you can style that to suit what you want. Okay, so I guess if you want to style something like that, that's just about how you are going to go about it. Maybe you just change the font size to, let's see, 10 pixels and see how it looks. It's not really showing up. Okay, so the P, yeah, 12. Okay, so font size 12 pixels. So what I did was I kind of tried to target the text element inside that stuff. So this is the whole div. Okay, so what happens is once it comes out, you take this, just wait for it to come out, and then you click on it. Okay, so you click on it to select it. It's going to select the, you know, the links, but then you can trace your way back up to, you know, the div. Okay, but then I traced back to the paragraph element, and then I changed the font size to 12. So that's basically how you can style that. I'm not going to style that. I'll leave that for you to work on. Okay, because it wouldn't really make any sense if I style this and you decide to use another plugin that shows this. So it's kind of basic. So let's leave that. Let's not waste time on that. But that is how to get that product showing. Okay, that That's how to get that live sales notification showing. Okay. All right. So I guess that brings an end to this tutorial. This it has been quite of a journey. So yeah. Let me quickly update this. Okay. So what I did here was this. So you can see that. Where is it? Okay, so this is it. This is what I did here. Okay, so I'm gonna update this, and add that H2. Okay. All right. So the margin button wasn't working, and that's because it's being overridden by some other, So I'm going to see how do I avoid using important here. How do I avoid using important? Okay, because I want this to apply to all others. Okay, so if I make it so specific, it's going to apply only to this. So I just have to regrettably add important to that margin bottom. So we need to be able to control the distance of the next element to that text. So it controls it everywhere here. So I guess that's what I'm just going to update in that style sheet. Okay, so I'm just going to go into that style sheet and adjust that. Shorten product name. So I'm just going to make this 8 pixel. Okay, and I'm going to add that important to it. All right, so that's just the updates for that. All right, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you're looking forward to the next one. I also want to ask you to hit the like button if you learned something. Don't just watch and go away. Help me to get other people to see this video by hitting the like button. And if you need to stay informed, subscribe and also hit the notification bell so that once the next video comes out, you will be notified and you won't miss it. Have a great day.